Welcome to the best of the best. Over the summer, we're naming our ideal Premier League team. We're selecting it in a 4-2-3-1 formation. So who takes that key role up front, Jason?
I wonder who. I think there's one outstanding candidate. We all know who he is, Roy van Persie. He made a huge difference to Manchester United last season. I mean, especially that first half of the season when it was a little bit unclear as to which way Man United were going to go. He just scored the goals that took them away from the pack. They were just so far ahead by the time that everyone else woke up to that fact. And that was mainly because of him. And the one game that actually sticks out in my mind was when they beat Southampton away. Didn't play very well. He scores a hat-trick and they've got 3 points. Suddenly it's 3 more points than everyone else and they're up and running. And he obviously he was like a duck to water, wasn't he, going there? It was almost like he was waiting for this moment to go there, win that title. Interestingly, I thought the way Ferguson played him, he played him right up top. He told him to stay up top and the players would play around him. He made him his main man and he thrived in that and took to it like a duck to water, as I say. And then he scored that fantastic goal at the end of the season against Aston Villa. And I think he's clearly the sort of number 9 of the Premier League.
He was a living, breathing highlight reel, wasn't he? The goal that I loved was the one at West Ham in the Cup, which was fantastic. Yeah. How good is he?
Well, he's an outstanding player. If you look, since he got over the injury problems, we're now talking about 2.5 years. He has scored almost a goal a game for 2.5 years. He's been absolutely remarkable. He has scored so many goals. Over the last 18 months at Arsenal, he was phenomenal. He carried it on this year. He won the title. He was Fergie's going away present to himself, but my word, it was a pretty good one, wasn't it? Because he allowed him to drink champagne all summer and beyond. And rightly so. It was a £24 million was a lot of money, but it wasn't if you know what you're getting. And he knew what he was getting. And Ferguson knew that day. He said, didn't he, the day I won the title, we're going to win the title. Was it August the 15th? The day we signed Van Persie. He knew that day. That's it. Yeah. That's all you have to say.
I've been lucky enough to spend a bit of time in his company actually, and he's a supremely confident footballer. He knew that he was ready for Man U, and he knew that he would deliver the goods. There wasn't any nerves there. He wasn't phased by it.
So he's a big club player.
He is a big club player. He was a big fish at Arsenal. It took him a while to get going. He came in off the wing. He had to wait for Thierry Henry to move on before he took up the mantle. And once he was fit at Arsenal, he handled the responsibility brilliantly. At Man U, he's loving it there. He is absolutely loving it. And, as an Arsenal fan, I'm gutted to see him in a different shirt, but I have to confess, he's kicked on. He's improved as a footballer at Manchester United. It'll be fascinating to see if he can do that again. He may have peaked. That's the only concern. I think he may have peaked now. He may be on the way down. But even if he's not as good next year, he'll still be a bit special.
So it's a bit of wishful thinking from him there.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Luis Suarez? Now, let's try and divorce him from his personality issues, all the whinging that's going on about how downtrodden he is and how unhappy he is. As a player, how good has he been this season, last season for Liverpool?
Well, he carried Liverpool, didn't he? I mean, he's carried them. And when he's on the pitch, they're a different team, a completely different team. I mean, I've seen games where he's been on the bench, he's come on, he's just transformed them. He lifts everyone around him. I've never seen a striker work as hard as him. He's absolutely everywhere on that pitch. He works himself into the ground, scores great goals, is a good link player. There are obviously, he would argue, I mean, there is a whole argument about how his temperament is interlinked to the way he plays and everything, and there is truth in that. If you could harness that a bit better, he would really even move to a different level, I think. I just think he is certainly, pushing Van Persie, I would have thought, as the sort of the next in line, as it were, and that's why I put him in the 3, because I'd want him in my team because of what he brings to that team and the work rate and the desire and passion he has to play and score and win games, and I think he's crucial, absolutely crucial.
Best of the rest, what about Christian Benteke?
He had an outstanding first season, didn't he? Because people didn't know what they were getting. Even Villa must have been uncertain. But his development was terrific. He scored goals, he showed for the ball. The one goal he scored against Sunderland later on, the leap, he was, I don't know, he seemed to be above the crossbars. He headed it down. It was a remarkable jump. But he also, I said, he was always available. He made himself. He scored that one goal against Chelsea where he took it on from halfway and, urged the defenders to tackle him. They never got close before he slotted it home. And he was excellent for them. And, without him, they'd have probably gone down. And there you are. That's what the money was spent, because it kept them in the Premier League, and it's worth that 65 million for that 7 million outlay, isn't it? So it's money well spent.
And what about someone who really responded to the challenge of the Premier League, doubted by a lot of people, Ricky Lambert?
I like Ricky Lambert. I think he's a really good footballer. He's come from the lower leagues. I love to see that from footballers. He's a late bloomer, but he wasn't fazed by the top flight at all, was he? I think he's been superb. There must be a few clubs eyeing him up, actually. I think he will stay at Southampton, but he would certainly improve a lot of the Premier League teams. Free kick specialist. Who knew that he had that in his armoury as well? I think their tactic of isolating him when they're looking to throw a ball into the box, they're always looking to get Ricky Lambert one-on-one inside the box. He peels off, and he scored a lot of goals last season doing that. And if he didn't score, he helped to assist them by just knocking them down for a teammate. So I think pound for pound, he's got to be up there as one of the best. Certainly, considering it was his first year in the Premier League, but he doesn't get in the team of the year.
No, but he does. It is a key role. You look at someone like Stephen Fletcher at Sunderland, they'd have gone down without him, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would, and obviously they'd have been further up the table if he'd have stayed fit for the second half of the season. They paid an awful lot of money for him, too much money, frankly, but he thrived in that environment. He's an out-and-out goal scorer. He sort of showed up the ridiculous fact that he wasn't playing for Scotland as well. That silly row he had with them, and for the first half of the season, he was their only sort of salvation, really, in the goals he scored and the poacher's instinct he showed as well. But they missed him so badly towards the end of the season. There was no chance that they were going to pull away from the bottom of the table without him, because obviously they didn't have anyone to score those goals. And he proved his worth.
The other one who made a bit of an impact was Lukaku as well. True. Did really, really well.
Do you think Chelsea will keep him?
They weren't going to, but I think they will now. The plan was to send him out on loan for one more year. Yeah. I think now he's going to stay. Mourinho wants him to be the proto Drogba, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
What was interesting with him, though, was how few games he actually started. I thought they used him as an impact substitute, and I imagine he probably got a little bit frustrated with that. He scored an awful lot of goals, but it still showed there's a little bit of not so certain as he's actually ready to start yet.
No, I think his technique still needs working on, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, I think I know the answer to this, chaps. Who's your man?
It has to be Van Persie, obviously.
Well, I was obviously tempted by the outstanding contribution of Emmanuel Adebayor all season, but just going to go for Robin Van Persie.
I think Suarez has pushed him a lot closer than perhaps we've given him credit for, but RVP's the main man.
RVP it is. No contest, really. Thanks for joining us on life'sapitch.co.uk.